The battlefield was silent at first. The kind of silence that comes only after everything has already been destroyed. Black smoke moved slowly across the broken ground. Metal pieces, burned weapons, and the bodies of fallen soldiers lay everywhere. Like cold shadows of a war that should have ended long ago. In the middle of this ruined land stood Lyris, an alien girl soldier of the Illyrian Guard. She was young, too young for war, but war did not ask anyone's age. Her armor, once bright, silver and blue, was now cracked in many places. Blue sparks leaked from the broken plates. Her left arm shook every time she tried to lift her energy blade. But still, she stood. She knew she had no allies left. Her squad of 11 fighters had fallen one by one. She had watched her captain fall right beside her. She had shouted his name, but her voice was lost in the explosions. For hours she had fought alone, and she could feel her strength fading. Like a candle burning down to its last bit of flame, the air suddenly vibrated. Metallic screech echoed across the battlefield. Lyris turned her head slowly. There, rising from behind a shattered wall, was a predator drone, one of the enemy's deadliest killing machines. Its sharp metal legs clicked like knives against the ground. Its red sensor eyes glowed with cold hunger. She forced herself to breathe. Just one more fight. Just one more enemy. She lifted her blade, though her hands trembled badly. Her legs felt heavy as stone. But she stood her ground. She would not run. She told herself, if this is my last moment, then let it be a good one. The drone charged. Lyris blocked its first strike, sparks of blue and red flying into the air. The shock pushed her back. Her boots slid through the burnt dust. She spun her blade and cut off one of the drone's front legs, but the attack drained the last of her energy shield. The blue glow around her armor flickered, then died completely. Her heart sank. Without that shield, she was nothing but flesh and bone. The drone jumped again. This time she barely dodged. Its metal claws cut the air right next to her face. She tried to counterattack, but her blade dimmed. The power cell was nearly empty. It was getting hard for her to even stay standing. She whispered to herself, "Not yet. Not yet." But her body refused to listen. Her knees hit the ground. The enemy drone raised its front claws for the final strike. For a moment, everything slowed. She thought of her brother. She saw his face the day he left for war. She remembered his promise. "I'll come back for you," but he never did. She remembered her training officer telling her, "We fight together, or we die alone." She had never felt more alone than now. The drone's eyes glowed brighter as it prepared to kill her. Lyris closed, her eyes not in fear, but in exhaustion. She had nothing left to give. Her breath came out weak and shaky. The drone struck, but it never reached her. A sharp gunshot echoed across the field. The sound was so loud that it cut through everything: the fire, the smoke, the roar of the machines. Lyris opened her eyes in shock. The drone froze for a second, then fell to the ground with a heavy metallic crash. A bullet hole smoked in the center of its sensor eye. She stared at it, stunned. Who fired that shot? Slow footsteps approached through the smoke. Lyris tried to lift her blade again, but her arms refused to move. Her vision blurred. Her heart raced. She waited, unsure if a new enemy was coming. A figure slowly appeared through the gray smoke, tall, broad shoulders, wearing armor that didn't look alien, holding a rifle older than any weapon she had seen on this war-torn moon. A human. Lyris froze. She had heard stories of humans before, rumors really. Some aliens said humans were good fighters. Others said they were unpredictable and dangerous. Many believe humans didn't even come to this side of the galaxy anymore. Yet here he was, a real human soldier. He walked closer until she could see his face. It was tired, dirty, but strangely calm. A cut ran across his forehead. His brown eyes held a kind of quiet strength she had never seen before. He looked at her shattered armor, her shaking hands, her kneeling form, but he didn't look at her like she was defeated. He looked at her like she was still standing strong. He lowered his rifle and said in a deep voice, "You fought well." Lyris blinked in confusion. Why would a human praise her? The human stepped beside her and raised his weapon again, scanning the area for more enemies. Then he said the words that changed everything. "But you're not alone anymore." For the first time in hours, Lyris felt something inside her chest, something warm, something she had almost forgotten. Hope. The human soldier extended a hand toward her. The battlefield was still burning. More danger was coming. The war was far from over, but in that moment, with smoke around them and machines closing in, she realized something. She was no longer fighting alone. The smoke from the last fallen drone was still rising when Lyris finally placed her hand in the human's. His grip was strong but careful, as if he knew she was one hit away from collapsing. He pulled her up gently, and for a moment she felt dizzy. The world around her wavered like heat on desert sand. "Easy," he said softly. "You've been fighting too long." Lyris almost laughed. Too long? She had been fighting since sunrise. Almost 12 hours. Her legs felt like broken stone. Her armor felt heavier than the enemy machines. She looked at him, this strange human who appeared out of nowhere. He wore old military gear that must have been repaired dozens of times. Scratches covered his chest plate. His gloves were torn. His rifle was a mix of human metal and alien parts, like someone had built it from scraps. Who are you?" she asked, her voice rough. "Name's Jace," he replied. "Commander Jace Hawley, United Earth Forces." Lyris stared. United Earth Forces? Humans had left this war years ago. Everyone believed their units were either recalled or wiped out. Yet this man stood here, breathing, fighting, saving her. "How did you survive here?" she asked. Jace wiped dust from his face. "Same way you did. Keep moving. Don't stop. Don't die." His simple tone felt strange, almost casual, like he wasn't aware he had just saved her life. Or maybe he had saved so many lives that he didn't count them anymore. Before she could question him further, a machine howl echoed in the distance. Jace's eyes sharpened instantly. "We need to move. More drones will come. They're attracted to noise." He pointed toward a broken ridge covered with sharp rocks and twisted metal. "Follow me. Stay low." Lyris tried to walk, but her legs shook violently. Jace noticed. Without asking, he slid her arm over his shoulder to support her weight. She tensed. She had never been this close to a human before. "You won't slow me down," he said. "I can carry you if I need to." His voice wasn't proud or arrogant. It sounded like someone used to protecting others, not for glory, but because it was simply the right thing to do. They moved fast through the ruins. Every step sent pain through Lyris's body, but she forced herself forward. The battlefield felt endless: burned trees, melted stones, dark mud. They passed the remains of a fallen alien gunship. Lyris looked away. She recognized the emblem. It was her squad's transport. Jace felt her tense again. "I saw that gunship go down yesterday," he whispered. "I hoped someone survived." Her throat tightened. They didn't. Only me. Jace didn't give empty words like, "I'm sorry." Instead, he stopped walking and looked directly into her eyes, his face serious, almost gentle. "You stayed alive," he said. "That means you can still finish what they started." She blinked hard, surprised by how much his words affected her. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not even her own commanders. They always talked about duty, orders, survival rates. But Jace spoke like she mattered. They kept moving until they reached a hidden trench. The ground was cooler here, quiet. Only the distant hum of machines filled the air. Jace checked his device, a small scanner with a cracked screen. "There's a safe bunker ahead," he said. "Used to belong to your people. If it still has power, we can rest and check your injuries." Lyris frowned. "Why do you want to help me? Humans don't risk themselves for aliens." Jace paused, breathing slowly. His jaw tightened as if he were holding back something heavy. "You remind me of someone." "Who?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked across the broken valley, his eyes distant, remembering something painful. "An alien team saved my life. Months ago," he finally said. "I was badly injured, couldn't move, couldn't call for help. They found me and protected me for days. One of them looked like you. Same eyes, same armor." Lyris froze. "My brother," she whispered, barely hearing her own voice. He looked like me." Jace nodded slowly. "Yes, he told me about his little sister. Said she would fight one day. Said he hoped I would never have to meet you, because war would mean he failed to protect you." Her heart felt like it had stopped moving. Jace continued, voice low, steady. "Before he died, he made me promise something." Lyris felt her chest tighten. "What promise?" Jace looked at her directly. "To find you, to protect you, to make sure you don't fall alone like he did." She couldn't breathe for a moment. Her legs nearly failed again, and Jace steadied her. "You promised him?" she whispered. "You promised a dying alien soldier you would protect his sister?" "I keep my promises," Jace said simply. Lyris turned her head away, blinking rapidly to stop her tears. She hadn't cried since she was a child, not even when her squad died. But now, hearing a human speak with such honesty, her heart trembled. A sudden, loud metallic roar shook the ground. Jace instantly pulled her down. Behind a rock. "They're tracking us faster than I expected. We need to move now." He scanned the area again, then looked at her with determined eyes. "I made a promise to your brother," he said. "I'm not losing you." For the first time in a long time, Lyris nodded. Not out of fear, but trust. Together, they moved toward the bunker. One human, one alien girl, two survivors pulled together by fate, war, and a promise made on a dying soldier's last breath. The ruined battlefield slowly changed into a dark valley of broken stone pillars and collapsed alien structures. Lyris and Jace moved quickly, though every step was a battle for her tired body. The air smelled of burned metal and dust. Strange purple mist rose from cracks in the ground, drifting like ghost smoke. Jace kept one hand on his rifle and the other supporting Lyris. Even when she tried to walk alone, he did not let her. "You'll fall," he said. "Save your strength. We still have a long way to go." Lyris wanted to argue, but the truth was simple: she would fall. So she said nothing and kept moving with him. Her mind was still spinning from what he told her. Her brother died protecting a human who kept that promise. She wasn't sure how to feel. Angry, sad, grateful, all of them mixed together. Like storm clouds, a sudden metallic cry echoed across the valley. Jace immediately stopped. His eyes narrowed. "Drones, multiple." He raised his scanner. 3 red dots blinked on the cracked screen. They were moving faster than normal hunters. "They've switched to pursuit mode," Jace said. "We need to reach cover before they scan this area." He guided her toward a long fallen tower. The structure had broken years ago, but its hollow inside created a dark tunnel-like path. Lyris could hear the buzzing of the drones above them. Sharp red lights scanned the ground like angry eyes watching every movement. Inside the broken tower, everything was silent. Dust floated in the air. Ancient alien symbols glowed faintly on the walls, reacting to their presence. Jace moved with surprising familiarity, turning corners, finding narrow passages, avoiding unstable floors. "You know this place well," Lyris finally said. Her voice was quiet, echoing slightly. Jace didn't turn. I've been here a long time. How long? Too long. His answer wasn't meant to hide something, but it carried a sadness that made Lyris curious. Why would a human stay alone on a dead moon? Why didn't he call for rescue? Why didn't he evacuate? They climbed over fallen beams and slid under cracked ceiling pieces. At one point, Lyris slipped on dust, but Jace caught her instantly, pulling her close before she hit the ground. You okay? He asked. She nodded, though her heart was beating fast not from the fall, but from how quickly he reacted. If you fall again, he said, I'll carry you. You don't need to carry me, she replied, annoyed at her own weakness. Jace only smiled softly. It's not about need. It's about keeping you alive. His calm confidence made her feel something she hadn't felt in days. Safe. They reached the far end of the tower and crawled out into another open ruin. This one was different. Tall, cracked statues surrounded the area, figures of Illyrian warriors from ancient times. Their broken faces stared down like silent guardians. Lyris whispered the names carved into their bases. She recognized old legends, heroes from her people's history. Jace watched her gently. Your brother talked about your culture a lot. He was proud of it. Lyris looked at the broken statue of a female warrior with wings made of stone. He was proud of everything, she said softly. He believed we could win any war. He believed in unity, even with humans. Jace placed a hand on the statue's cold stone. He saved my life because he believed in something bigger than species. Before she could respond, the ground shook violently. Dust rained from above. The statues trembled. A drone landed on one of the fallen pillars with a sharp metallic snap. Another dropped behind it. Jace grabbed Lyris and pulled her behind a half-collapsed wall. They found us, he whispered. 3 red lights scanned the ruins. Lyris's breath caught. Her energy blade had almost no power left. She had maybe one swing in her. But fight or not, she wasn't dying here, not after hearing her brother's final promise. Jace quickly checked his rifle. Only a handful of rounds left. Listen, he whispered. When I say go, run toward that archway. He pointed to a broken stone gate across the ruin. There's a tunnel behind it. It leads deep underground. They won't find us there. And you? She asked. I'll cover. You? No. Her voice came out sharper than she expected. I'm not leaving you. He looked at her in surprise. If you stay, you'll die. Then we fight together, she said. My brother believed in unity. I'm not running while you face them alone. For a moment, Jace didn't speak. Then he nodded once, a silent agreement, born of respect. The drones moved closer, their metal claws clicking over stone. One sniffed the air like a hunting beast. Jace whispered, on 3. Lyris tightened her grip on her dim blade. 1. The nearest drone leaped onto a statue, scanning aggressively. 2. Lyris could feel her heartbeat in her throat. 3. Jace rose from cover and fired 3 rapid shots. Lyris jumped out beside him, spinning her blade with the last bit of strength she had. A drone shot sparks as Jace's bullet hit its core. Another charged at Lyris, but she slid under it and struck its side, her blade glowing faintly as she sliced through metal. But the third drone roared and lunged at Jace. Lyris's eyes widened. She screamed, Jace! He turned, but the drone was too fast. Everything slowed. Lyris pushed off the ground, ignoring the pain tearing through her legs. She jumped between Jace and the drone just as its claws swung. A bright explosion lit the air. The drone stumbled back, half its body blown apart from a hidden mine Jace had placed earlier. He grabbed Lyris before she collapsed. We need to move, he said urgently. Together, half running, half supporting each other. They sprinted toward the archway as the ruins behind them shook with more drones incoming. They disappeared into the underground tunnel seconds before the sky filled with red lights. The hunt was far from over. but so was their will to survive. The tunnel was dark, cold, and strangely quiet. Only the faint glow of weak blue crystals on the walls showed the path ahead. Every step echoed softly, as if the tunnel itself was listening. Jace held Lyris close as they moved deeper underground. Her breathing was slow and heavy. The last fight had drained everything she had left. Each time her knees wobbled, Jace tightened his arm around her, keeping her steady. "You're burning up," he murmured. "I'm fine," she insisted, though her voice was barely stronger than a whisper. "You're not. Your armor systems are failing. You need rest or your body will collapse." She didn't argue. She didn't have the strength. After what felt like endless minutes of walking, the tunnel opened into a small underground chamber, old Illyrian. Banners hung from cracked stone walls, their bright colors faded to dull gray. A control panel flickered weakly near the back of the room. "This used to be a forward command bunker," Lyris said quietly. "Before the war destroyed everything." "Let's hope it still works," Jace replied. He gently helped her sit. On a stone bench, she leaned back, closing her eyes. His hands moved fast as he checked the bunker's systems, power lines, generator crystals, oxygen levels. Then, with a loud snap, the room filled with a soft golden light. Lyris opened her eyes slowly. "You fixed it?" Jace gave a small smile. "I fix a lot of things." Now that the room was brighter, Lyris finally saw his face clearly. The dust and dirt didn't hide the tired lines around his eyes. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. Maybe weeks. She watched him for a moment. Something deep inside her felt unsettled. "Jace, how long have you been on this moon?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he knelt beside her and pulled open a small medical kit. He started checking her injuries, light burns, cracked armor plating, energy drainage. His hands were gentle, almost careful, as if he feared hurting her. "Jace," she said. "Again, tell me the truth." He exhaled slowly. "Months? Months?" Her eyes widened. "Humans abandoned this war. Your forces retreated years ago." "My unit stayed behind," he said quietly. "We were told to help the remaining alien refugees. But the enemy hit us harder than we expected. What happened to your team?" Jace's hands paused for the first time. "They're gone," he said in a low, empty voice. "Every one of them." Lyris felt a cold wave inside her. She had heard that tone before, from soldiers who survived battles that should have killed them. Survivors who lived because fate chose them. Not because they wanted to, but why didn't you call for rescue? She asked. Jace touched his broken communicator. The device had scorch marks and missing pieces. "I tried. The signal is blocked on this moon. Too much radiation. I spent weeks trying, months, but nothing worked." Lyris swallowed hard. "So, you stayed alive, alone?" "Not completely," he said. She frowned. "What do you mean?" Jay stood up and walked toward the wall. He brushed away dust from an old Illyrian symbol. Behind it was a carved star, one used only by Illyrian special units. Lyris felt a strange pressure in her chest. "What is this place really?" she whispered. "A safe house," Jace replied. "Your brother's safe house." Her breath caught. "My brother used this place?" Jace nodded. "He brought me here when he saved me." Lyris stared at the symbol. Her hands trembled. She had grown up listening to stories of her brother's secret missions. He had been a legend even before he died. But imagining him standing in this same room felt unreal. Jace turned toward her, his eyes softening. "He talked about you a lot, Lyris." She lowered her gaze. "He always talked too much." "No," Jace said. "He talked because he cared. He said his sister was stubborn but brave, always ready to fight for others. He believed you would become a warrior stronger than him." Her chest tightened painfully. She tried to blink away, the heat in her eyes, but it didn't work. Why? Why didn't he come back for me? She whispered. He promised. Jace's voice was gentle, almost sad. He tried. He was on his way back when our mission went wrong. We were ambushed. He fought like a storm. He saved me and 3 other soldiers. But he was wounded. Lyris covered her mouth with her hand. He didn't tell me he was injured. She whispered. He didn't want you to worry, Jace said. His last words were about you. He said, make sure she lives. Make sure she never falls alone. Silence filled the room. Lyris felt tears roll down her cheeks, quiet, slow, painful tears she had held back for years. Her brother had been her hero. Knowing he died saving someone else hurt, but also filled her with pride. Jace sat beside her, close enough for warmth, but not enough to crowd her. He saved me, someone he barely knew, he said, because he believed no life should be wasted. Lyris wiped her eyes. And you kept his promise. Jace nodded. I'm trying. For a moment, they sat without speaking, a human and an alien girl, united by grief, memory, and war. Then the bunker lights flickered violently. The ground trembled. Jace jumped to his feet. They found us. Lyris forced herself up, even though her legs shook. How? She asked. Jace scanned the ceiling, his face turning serious. Because, he whispered, they weren't hunting us. Lyris's heart stopped. Then who were they hunting? Jace looked at her with a grim expression. They were hunting me. The bunker shook again, harder this time. Small rocks fell from the ceiling. Dust filled the air like gray fog. Lyris grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Jace stood in front of her immediately, rifle raised, eyes sharp and focused. Stay behind me, he said. Lyris swallowed. You said they're hunting you. Why? Jace didn't look at her. He kept his rifle pointed at the shaking door. Because I escaped something I wasn't supposed to survive. Before she could ask more, a cold metallic roar echoed through the tunnel, deep, heavy, unnatural. The sound didn't match any normal drone. It was lower, almost alive. Lyris felt her skin crawl. That's not a drone. No, Jace replied. Quietly, it's worse. The bunker entrance exploded inward in a burst of fire and debris. Lyris shielded her face as sharp pieces of stone and metal flew across the room. Jace pushed her behind a support beam, taking most of the impact himself. When the dust cleared, something crawled through the opening. Something massive. The creature was a hybrid, half machine, half living organism. Its body was covered in black armor plates, but underneath, glowing red veins pulsed like a beating heart. 4 long legs stabbed the floor with each step, creating heavy thuds that shook the ground. Its head resembled a skull made of metal, with a single red eye that moved like a predator searching for prey. Lyris felt her breath freeze. What is that? Jace tightened his grip on the rifle, the enemy's secret weapon. They call it the Reaper unit. She had heard stories whispered among soldiers. A creature created from captured DNA, mixed with machine parts. A monster built to hunt anything that escaped. She never believed it was real. How did it find us? She whispered. Jace didn't answer. He didn't need to. The Reaper units. Red Eye locked onto him, ignoring everything else. Target identified. The creature growled in a voice that sounded like broken metal scraping against stone. Human unit, Jace Hawley. Lyris looked at him in shock. It knows your name. Yeah, Jace said with a tired sigh. Not the first time. The monster charged. Jace grabbed Lyris's arm and pulled her aside, just as the Reaper smashed through the center of the bunker, splitting the room in half. The floor cracked open. Pipes burst. Sparks rained down like falling stars. Move! Jace yelled. They ran through the collapsing chamber. Lyris stumbled, but Jace never let her fall. The Reaper roared, sending a shockwave that knocked old machines off the walls. Jace turned and fired at its legs, hitting the joints. The bullets sparked uselessly off the heavy armor. "It's not working," Lyris shouted. "Yeah, I noticed," he replied. The Reaper leaped forward, smashing through a pillar. Its claws swiped inches from Jace's back. Lyris slashed at its arm with her dim blade. The blade sparked weakly, barely cutting its armor, but it was enough to make the creature turn toward her. "New target identified," it growled. "Lyrian." "Female, priority threat." Lyris stumbled backward. She had no shield. Her blade was almost dead. Jace grabbed her hand and pulled her behind him. "No," he said firmly. "You want someone? Take me." The Reaper didn't hesitate. It lunged at Jace again. But this time Jace was ready. He hit a switch on his belt. A series of small explosive lights flashed across the floor. Lyris realized too late what they were. Mines! She gasped. "Jac!" He pulled her close and threw both of them behind a broken wall as the explosives detonated. A massive blast shook the bunker. The Reaper screeched. Its armor cracked, one of its legs blown clean off. The explosion left the creature smoking and limping, but still alive. "Reaper unit, damage critical," it growled. "Switch into Overwatch kill mode." The creature's body began to glow red, heating up like molten metal. Lyris's eyes widened. "It's going to explode." "No," Jace said darkly. "It's powering up. That's worse." He helped her up quickly. "We need to finish it before it finishes us." Lyris looked down at her dim blade. She had only one small spark of energy left. One single strike. "I can maybe hit it once," she whispered. "But that won't kill it." Jace looked at his rifle, almost out of ammo. "Then we hit it together," he said. She stared at him. "Together?" He nodded. "Your blade can cut through its living parts. My shot can hit its core. Alone we can't stop it. Together we can." Her chest tightened, but this time not from fear. "Okay," she said. "Together." Jace stepped in front, firing the last bullets to distract the creature. Lyris ran along the side, her blade flickering like a dying star. The Reaper roared, swinging its broken leg at Jace. He ducked, rolled, and aimed at the glowing section of its chest. "Lyris!" he shouted. "Now!" With everything she had left, Lyris leaped into the air and drove her blade deep into the creature's exposed living tissue. The blade sparked violently. At the same moment, Jace fired his final round into the Reaper's core. The monster screamed a chilling, metal-infused cry that echoed through the bunker, then collapsed. Its red veins going dark. Smoke filled the room again. Jace collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Lyris fell beside him, completely exhausted. They looked at the ruined creature. It didn't move. They had one barely. Lyris turned her head toward Jace. You really meant what you said earlier." Jace nodded, tired but smiling. "I told you're not alone." Smoke curled around the shattered bunker as Lyris and Jace leaned against a broken pillar, trying to catch their breath. The Reaper unit lay still in the center of the room, its glowing veins fading to a dull black. For the first time in hours there was silence, but the silence was wrong. Too still, too quiet. Jace slowly stood, his legs shaking. "It's not over." Lyris forced herself up too, though every bone in her body screamed for rest. "The Reaper is dead." What else could be? A sharp metallic hum cut through the air. The dead Reaper twitched. Then its single red eye flickered back to life. Lyris's eyes widened. No, impossible. The Reaper's broken body began to shift. The armor melted into a liquid metallic gel, pulling itself into a new shape. Its destroyed leg rebuilt. Its cracked skull reformed. Energy pulsed through it like lightning reborn. Jace's face paled. "It has a regeneration core." Lyris felt terror rise in her chest. She had never seen a machine heal like a living creature. The Reaper stood up fully within seconds, stronger and angrier. Primary targets, still alive, it growled. Final execution protocol activated. The ground shook as the creature's body expanded, its armor plates separating into sharp wings. The red veins glowed so bright the room lit up like a furnace. The air became painfully hot. Lyris took a step back. "Jace!" "It's overheating," Jace nodded grimly. "It's preparing a core burst." "A what?" "A blast so strong. It'll wipe out everything in this bunker. And everything above it." Lyris stared at the monster. "How do we stop it?" Jace swallowed hard. "We can't stop the blast, but we can direct it." He pointed to a narrow collapse in the ceiling, a crack that led upward toward the surface. "If we trigger the core in the right spot," he said, "the explosion will travel upward instead of outward." Lyris felt her heart drop. "But someone needs to lure it to that point." Jace didn't answer. He didn't need to. She saw it in his eyes. He planned to sacrifice himself. "No," she whispered. "You can't." He gave a soft smile. "It's okay, Lyris." "No, it's not," she shouted, grabbing his arm. "My brother died saving you. Don't you dare throw your life away now." Jace placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "Your brother saved me for a reason, so I could save someone else one day." Tears burned behind her eyes. "Then save me by staying alive." His voice softened, warm but steady. "If I don't do this, you won't survive." And I promised him you would. The Reaper roared again, louder than before. Its wings expanded. Fully, the glow inside its body turned blinding white. They were seconds away from destruction. "Jace, please," she begged. He shook his head. "I'm not saying goodbye. I just need you to trust me." Lyris looked down at her blade. Its energy completely gone, useless. Then she looked at Jace. His rifle was empty, his armor cracked. His breaths shallow, but his eyes, those human eyes, held the same fire she saw in her brother long ago. Courage, born from purpose. The Reaper charged, its claws slamming into the floor. Jace grabbed Lyris's hand. "When I move, run to the back wall. There's a blast shield there. Hide behind it." "No," she whispered again. "Yes," he said. "Live for him, for you." He let go, turned, and sprinted toward the towering monster. Lyris froze. Everything inside her shattered. She watched him dash across the bunker, dodging flying debris and glowing shards. He moved like a soldier who had nothing left to lose, and everything left to protect. The Reaper followed him, roaring with fury. Jace reached the cracked beam below the ceiling fissure. He yelled, "Hey, machine, I'm right here." The Reaper lunged, its massive body rising for the killing strike. Jace glanced back at Lyris for a split second, one final look. "Trust me," he mouthed. The Reaper slammed its claws down straight into the weak support beam. The entire ceiling shook. A column of light burst upward. The monster shrieked as the core inside its chest glowed so bright the whole bunker turned white. This was it. The final moment. But then something changed. Lyris ran out. Her body moved before her mind understood. Her legs ignored the pain. Her heart drowned out the fear. She sprinted straight toward Jace. "Lyris!" he shouted, eyes wide. "Nitrogen monoxide." But she didn't stop. She grabbed him, shoved him behind her, and raised her dead blade like a shield. Even without energy, the blade's ancient metal caught the first burst of the Reaper's explosion. The blast was powerful enough to tear the ground apart. Lyris felt the world go silent. Then bright. Then nothing. The explosion shot upward through the ceiling crack, blowing open the ground above. Light burst out like a volcanic beam into the sky. The bunker collapsed around them. Dust, heat, stone. When everything finally settled, Jace opened his eyes. He was alive. Barely. But alive. He crawled toward Lyris, heart pounding with fear. She lay unconscious, covered in dust, her armor broken, her breathing shallow but present. Jace held her hand tightly, shaking. "You saved me," he whispered above them. The shattered ceiling revealed a sky full of smoke and stars. The Reaper was gone. They had survived the impossible, but at a cost neither of them was ready to face. Dust slowly settled over the ruins like soft gray snow. The air was quiet, not peaceful, but exhausted, like the world itself had survived a terrible storm. Broken metal glowed faintly in the dark crater where the Reaper had self-destructed. Jace sat beside Lyris, gently supporting her head in his lap. His armor was cracked, his face covered in blood and soot, but none of it mattered. His hands trembled as he brushed dust from her hair. "Lyris, please wake up," he whispered. Her eyes stayed closed. His chest tightened painfully. He had seen too many friends fall. Too many soldiers take their last breaths in silence. He couldn't lose her too, not after everything they survived together. Jace leaned his forehead against hers. "You kept me alive. Now it's my turn." He lightly tapped her cheek. "Come on, Lyris. Please." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then her fingers moved, just a small twitch, barely noticeable. But Jace felt it like a shock straight to his heart. "Lyris?" he said quickly, hope breaking into his voice. Her breathing grew deeper, her eyelids trembled. Slowly, painfully, she opened her eyes. A weak smile appeared on her lips. "You are terrible at following orders." Jace let out a shaking laugh. Relief washed over him like warm rain. "You scared me," he said softly. "You scare yourself," she whispered. He helped her sit up, supporting her carefully. She coughed, then looked around at the destroyed bunker. "We survived," she said quietly. "Barely," Jace replied. "Because of you." Lyris leaned her head back against the wall, eyes half closed. "You jumped first. And you jumped after me," Jace said. "That's not how a promise works." Her gaze softened. "You kept your promise to my brother." "I tried," he said. "But I couldn't have done it without you." Silence settled between them, warm and deep, like a shared heartbeat. Outside the collapsed ceiling, streaks of early dawn began to break through the clouds. Soft light fell onto their faces. Lyris looked at that light for a long time. "My brother always believed humans were like us," she said. "Stubborn, brave, too emotional." Jace smirked. "Sounds accurate." "He believed both our people needed each other," she continued. "He said unity was strength, not war." Her voice cracked. She wiped her eyes quickly, embarrassed. Jace didn't pretend not to see it. He simply placed a hand on her shoulder, steady, careful, reassuring. "He was right," Jace said. Lyris looked at him. "Not the way a soldier looks at another soldier, but the way a survivor looks at the person who helped them stand again." "Why did you fight so hard for me?" she asked softly. Jace took a slow breath. "Because when your brother saved me, he didn't just save my life. He gave me a purpose. He said you would need someone one day. And when I saw you fighting alone, bleeding, exhausted, refusing to give up, I knew that day had come." Her eyes shimmered. "You joined me because of him." Jace shook his head gently. "I joined you because of you." The moment hung between them, quiet and full of meaning. Before either could speak again, a distant humming filled the air. Lyris tensed, but Jace raised his hand. "No," he said. "Listen." The humming grew louder, soft, rhythmic. Not enemy drones. Rescue ships. 3 Illyrian scout vessels descended through the smoke-filled sky, their bright blue lights cutting through the fog. The ships hovered over the ruins before slowly lowering into the crater. "They found us," Lyris whispered. "They actually found us." Jace helped her stand. She leaned heavily on him, and he wrapped an arm around her waist. Illyrian soldiers rushed out of the lead ship, weapons drawn, until they saw Lyris. "Lieutenant Lyris, she's alive." One soldier shouted. The others dropped to their knees. In respect. She was the last known survivor of her squad. When they noticed Jace beside her, the soldiers stiffened. Several raised their weapons toward him. Lyris immediately stepped in front of Jace, even though she could barely stand. "No," she said firmly. "He is not the enemy." The soldiers hesitated. She lifted her chin. "He saved my life twice. He fought beside me against the Reaper unit. He kept the promise of my brother." The soldiers lowered their weapons slowly. Jace whispered, "You didn't have to defend me." "Yes," she said, eyes shining. "I did." Two medics approached and guided Lyris toward the ship. She took a few steps before turning back to Jace. He stood a little distance away, unsure if he should follow. Unsure if he belonged there. Lyris extended her hand toward him. He blinked. "What are you doing?" "Helping you," she said softly. "The same way you helped me." He took her hand and walked with her toward the transport dot as they reached the ramp. She looked at him one last time and said the words her brother once taught her. "No soldier stands alone." Jace felt something warm spread in his chest. Lyris squeezed his hand gently, "And neither do you." The doors of the rescue vessel closed behind them, carrying a human and an alien girl from a dead battlefield toward a future neither could imagine. But they would face it together, because on this broken moon, in the ashes of a lost war, two survivors had proven the truth. Unity is strength, hope is reborn, and no one fights alone.